Year 2387, the stars were fading. The galaxy, once vibrant and full of life, was quietly dying. Admiral Marcus Kane stood alone on the observation deck of Earth Station Alpha, gazing out as the last of the Confederation's transport ships prepared to leave orbit. Through reinforced glass, he watched colossal vessels float in the darkness like silent silver monoliths. Each ship held tens of thousands of alien civilians from worlds scattered across the stars. They were all evacuating. All of them. Every last one. The Devourers had reawakened just 3 months earlier. Beings from the galactic core, older than history, more ravenous than gravity itself. They consumed everything in their path planets, moons, stars, even the vacuum between. Scientists speculated they transformed matter into dark energy, though Marcus never cared for the explanation. All he knew was this: they were coming, and no force had ever stopped them. The Alien Alliance had made its choice: escape or perish. It was that simple. Marcus placed a gloved hand against the chilled window, watching another massive ship vanish into the electric shimmer of a wormhole gate. This one belonged to the Zephyrons. He had served beside them for over a decade and a half, fought with them during the Outer Rim skirmishes, drank beside their captains in frontier outposts. Now, without even a goodbye, they were gone. Behind him, the elevator doors opened with a soft sigh. Commander Sarah Chen stepped into the room. Her uniform was neatly pressed, despite the endless rounds of meetings. At 35, she was younger than Marcus, but her calm, resolute eyes had earned the respect of many. Today, those eyes looked worn. "The council's done meeting," she said, joining him at the viewport. "They want our decision within 6 hours." 6 hours to decide the future of humanity, Marcus replied, his eyes still fixed on the departing ships. Another was leaving the crystalline craft of the architects, its surface glittering like caged lightning under the starlight. "What's the offer?" he asked. "Evacuation for 50 million humans," she answered, tone flat. "Scientists, engineers, tech specialists, their so-called best and brightest."
Yes.
They called it generous. Said most species are lucky to get 10% taken off-world. 50 million out of 12 billion, Marcus repeated, finally turning toward her. "And they expect us to choose who's worth saving?" They said it would be fair. Based on genetics, skills, and contribution potential. No politics, no favoritism. Sarah walked to the far end of the deck, where Earth hovered in the void, a swirling blue gem in an ocean of dark. Ambassador Vexiel thought he was being merciful. Marcus let out a dry, hollow laugh. Merciful? What about the elderly? The children, the ones who don't tick any of their boxes? He shook his head. "They don't care, do they?" "No," she said softly. "I don't think they do." They stood in silence, watching their homes spin slowly beneath them. Billions of lives carried on unaware, people going to work, raising families, chasing dreams. Most still didn't know about the Devourers. The Confederation had kept the truth buried to avoid chaos. "There's more," Sarah said. "I spoke to a few non-council species, off the record. They're terrified, Marcus. The Confederation's only evacuating the essential populations from their planets too. Billions being left behind. How many exactly? Hard to say. But Dr. Yates did the math based on ship manifests and gate logs, possibly 1 trillion lives left behind across the stars."
Oh.
The number was meaningless. 1 trillion? Marcus couldn't even comprehend 12 billion. He tried imagining the abandoned lives and failed. Sarah continued. "The Devourers will hit the outer rim in about 80 years. The inner systems might last another century. The Council thinks they can rebuild in Andromeda, start fresh. If the Devourers follow, they'll just flee again, and again forever." Marcus returned to the viewport. Ships continued to leave, a relentless procession of hope for a few and abandonment for the many. It disgusted him. These same alien leaders had once preached unity and honor. Now they were cutting and running, saving themselves and leaving others to die. "Have you decided what to tell the council?" Sarah asked quietly. He didn't answer right away. He thought of his daughter Emma, sitting in her apartment in New Geneva, schoolteacher, Not a geneticist, not an engineer. Not valuable enough. Under alien criteria, she wouldn't make the list, or would the families on his street, or the retired soldiers, or the artists, or the dreamers. I'm going to tell them no, he said at last. Sarah nodded. She had expected that. The Security Council agrees. So does President Martinez. We voted after the aliens left. It was unanimous. Unanimous. Marcus blinked. He'd expected arguments, pushback, doubt. General Morrison said it best, Sarah replied. If we leave our people behind, what's the point of surviving? We stop being human. We become cowards. Something heavy inside Marcus eased slightly. He wasn't alone. And the civilians. What if some want to leave? They'll have a choice. Global referendum. Every human decides, stay and resist or leave on the ships. But we act together. No one left behind because of a checklist. The aliens won't like that, Marcus said. They'll call us emotional, irrational. Let them. Marcus turned away from the window. They never understood us anyway. Another ship entered the wormhole and vanished. This one bore the ethereal's energy beings who had invented faster-than-light travel. Even they were fleeing. Marcus looked to Sarah. You know what this means? If we stay, we die. All of us. The simulations are clear that devourers can't be stopped. I know. Her voice was steady, but maybe that's not what matters. Maybe someone has to say that everyone matters, not just the brilliant or the strong. Especially when it's hopeless. Marcus looked back out into the stars. Somewhere far beyond his sight, the devourers were consuming another world. In 80 years, maybe sooner, Earth would be next. There were no weapons, no defenses that had worked, but Sarah was right. Someone had to try. Someone had to care enough to stand for the forgotten. If we die, he said softly, we do it as ourselves, not as fugitives clinging to alien mercy, but as defenders of our own. When do we make the announcement? He asked. Tomorrow, President Martinez will address the world. Everyone hears it at once, including the Confederation. They'll think we've lost our minds, maybe. But we never really cared about their opinion, did we? For the first time that day, Marcus smiled. She was right. Humanity had always been the odd ones, too emotional, too stubborn, too willing to fight when others had given up. Maybe that was their strength now. There's one more thing, Sarah added. Intel suggests some alien refugees aren't making it to the gates. Certain species are only saving their elites. Others are abandoning outposts and colonies to remote. How many? Unknown. Definitely millions. Maybe tens of millions. Just left to die. Marcus felt something stirred. Hope, but resolve. If we're staying, we're not just saving humans, he said. We help who we can. No one dies alone. That's what I was hoping you'd say. The last of the heavy transports was prepping for departure. The Confederation's flag gleamed on its Hulla symbol that was about to lose all meaning. Tomorrow, Earth would stand alone in a dying galaxy, but not powerless. Start compiling a list, Marcus said. Every alien ship, every abandoned station, any gear they leave, we'll need it all. Already underway, Sarah confirmed. Dr. Patel believes we can repurpose their tech. Give us time. We'll build a real fleet. And the wormhole gates? The major ones are being destroyed, but some minor gates might survive. If so, we could still travel across local systems. Marcus nodded. It wasn't much, but it was something. Humanity had always turned scraps into survival. From sails to rockets to starships, they had done the impossible before. Why not one more time? The last ship vanished into the wormhole. The gate shimmered, flickered, collapsed. The aliens were gone. The stars now belonged to the devourers and to the humans who had refused to run. Well, Marcus said, eyes on the cosmos. We'd better get started. Sarah grinned. Welcome to the end of the world, Admiral. Let's make it count. Tomorrow, humanity would begin its impossible mission to protect a galaxy that had already surrendered. They would likely fail, but they would fail with honor, not fear. And maybe, just maybe, they would save someone in the shadows, because someone had to. Detecting life signs, reported Lieutenant Kim from the sensor station. Thousands. Maybe more. Deep beneath the surface, Captain Sarah Chen gave a curt nod. This was the 15th planet they had surveyed in the past 6 months, and the pattern had become heartbreakingly predictable. Each world had been labeled fully evacuated in the Confederation's records, yet time and again, survivors remained. People forgotten, people discarded, or people never told to begin with. "Any replies to our transmissions?" Sarah asked. "Negative, Captain," Kim said. "But energy signatures indicate functioning technology underground. My guess?" There. Too afraid to answer, Sarah couldn't blame them. Unknown ships suddenly appearing in orbit usually meant raiders or worse. She remembered their first rescue upon. Anxious group of Arcturian miners had nearly shot down their shuttle, mistaking them for scavengers. "Take us in," she ordered. "Slow and steady. Let's make sure they know we're not a threat." The Defiance cut through the planet's thin, icy atmosphere, snow crystals hissing across the hull like a storm of glass. Through the haze, Sarah spotted jagged cave mouths, yawning along the mountain ridges. Faint lights blinked within clear signs of life. They landed on a plateau near the largest opening. In the shadows beyond the cave mouth, movement stirred. Figures emerged strange, even by galactic standards. Their forms shimmered and pulsed, their outlines shifting colors with each motion. Crystalline beings, murmured Dr. Martinez, the ship's xenobiologist, scanning his tablet in awe. "I've never seen anything like this. It's their entire biology. Appears silicon-based, and they're emitting harmonics." "Like a song? Are they dangerous?" Sarah asked. "I don't think so," Martinez replied. "The harmonics seem to be their form of communication. It's beautiful, almost like they're singing to each other." "You're coming with me," Sarah said. "Kim, the bridge is yours. If things go wrong, get Defiance out of here. Don't come after us." "Yes, Captain." Sarah and Martinez donned their suits and headed to the shuttle bay. All 3 of their shuttles had been cobbled together from salvaged alien wrecks. Mismatched, ugly, but reliable. That had become humanity's motto. Make it work, no matter what. The shuttle ride was short but rough. The wind screamed endlessly, and visibility was so poor it felt like navigating through static. Sarah landed just outside the cave, then shut down the engines. The crystalline aliens stood waiting, now clearly visible. They were breathtaking. Their bodies sparkled with refracted light, constantly shifting hues. Blue seemed to mean curiosity. Red suggested fear. Yellow, maybe excitement. They sang in soft chimes, like wind brushing through glass. The tallest among them stepped forward. It's nearly 8 feet high, its body glowing in rainbow prisms under the shuttle lights. When it spoke, the words were flawless, English but carried, the musical lilt of a lullaby. "You are human," it said. "We did not expect humans to come." "We're here to help," Sarah answered, her hands open, her voice calm. "We know the others left. We stayed to find those who were abandoned." The being turned to sorrowful violets. Sarah guessed. "The collectors came 60 cycles ago. They deemed us too slow, too contemplative. Only the young shapeshifters were taken. The rest were left behind." That familiar fury rose in Sarah's chest. Always the same. The strong evacuated. The vulnerable discarded. "How many of you remain?" She asked. 7,000 in this sanctuary. Perhaps 10,000 more scattered across distant shelters. "We are the last of the crystalline collective." Dr. Martinez stepped closer, scanner blinking. "Your harmonics. Is that how you think?" The being pulsed bright yellow. "Yes. We process in chords. When many of us sing together, we solve problems no individual could. But the collectors saw our thinking as too slow, unfit for their urgency." Sarah said, voice firm. "We're not in a hurry. The Devour won't reach this region for another 70 years. It gives us time." The alien turned deep red again. "You know of the Devourers? Collectors claimed they were unstoppable, that to resist them was to perish." "Maybe they're right," Sarah said. "But we're going to resist anyway. And we won't leave anyone behind while we do it." The alien stood silently, its colors shifting through an array of emotions. Around it, more crystalline beings gathered. Their combined harmonics built a haunting, layered melody full of longing, fear, and maybe a touch of hope. At last the lead being spoke again. I am resonance of deep waters. I speak for this sanctuary. If your offer is true, we will listen. Have ships, Sarah said. Not many, and none of them are pretty. But they work. We can relocate you to safer ground, somewhere among other survivors. Other survivors? Resonance pulsed a curious blue. You have found others? Sarah nodded. We've rescued elderly Zephrons abandoned by their own families. Tree folk who refuse to leave their sacred groves. Forgotten mining outposts too far off the trade grid. You're not alone. Martinez pulled up his tablet, showing images from previous missions, smiling Zephrons, tree folk dancing. In low gravity, children laughing in terraformed gardens. We're building a web of safe havens, he said. A cluster of planets in the Kepler sector, close enough for support, far enough to stay ahead of the Devourers. Resonance turned white, deep thought. The surrounding beings joined their voices to his, weaving a complex harmony. Sarah waited. She'd learned not to rush decisions, especially from alien cultures with long traditions. Minutes passed. At last, the song faded. We will go with you, said Resonance. But we ask one thing. What is it? Let us assist. Our harmonics can process data at enormous scale. We can chart safe paths, find survivors, anticipate the Devourer's behavior. Do not call us refugees. Let us be allies. Sarah smiled, extending her gloved hand. Deal. Resonance reached out, touching her palm with a crystalline digit. A single chime rang between them, clear and beautiful. It echoed through her bones. This is how we bind agreements, said Resonance. Now we are linked, across any distance. We will find each other. Evacuation took 2 weeks. The crystalline sanctuaries were vast networks carved into the bedrock, the result of centuries of patience. They held singing sculptures that reacted to wind, data libraries encoded into crystal spires, and gardens of geometric silicon flora. Sarah walked through these halls with awe. This was a civilization older than most, discarded as too slow. The Confederation had left behind wonders in one gallery. Dr. Martinez approached her. Captain, there's something you need to see. He led her into a chamber unlike the others. The walls shimmered with faint, glowing maps, not decorative, but functional. They'd been tracking the Devourers, he said. For years, their harmonics can sense gravitational shifts from light years away. They know exactly where the threat is and where it's going. Sarah studied the glowing data points. Moving zones of darkness crept across the star map, consuming systems in deliberate waves. It wasn't random. There. Choosing targets, she whispered. This is planned. Resonance entered, colors flashing orange urgency. You understand, he said. The Devourers think. They remember. They follow patterns. What are they searching for? Sarah asked. We cannot say, but our analysis suggests they seek something present in multiple parts of the galaxy. Once found in one place, they move to the next. Sarah felt ice grip her heart. Thinking enemy. One that could adapt. One that could trap. How long until they reach Kepler? Resonance turned to the map. Body flickering rapidly with thought. If their pace continues unchanged, 73 years, 4 months, 18 days. Sarah blinked. Oh, that's more accurate than anything our systems could predict. Harmonics are precise, down to planetary clusters. A spark of inspiration flickered in Sarah's mind. With predictions this exact, they could optimize every rescue. Get ahead of the swarm. Resonance, she said, how would you feel about coordinating every evacuation and rescue in this sector? The being lit up, brilliant gold joy. We would be honored. It's too long have we hidden in silence. And it is time to sing once more for life. The final shuttle lifted from the frozen surface. As the Defiance jumped to hyperspace with 7,000 crystalline beings aboard, Sarah felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope this wasn't just a ragged network of refugees. This was the beginning of a coalition of society built by the forgotten for the forgotten. Each species contributed something essential. The Zephrons gave weather control. The Tion brought living biohabitats. And now, the Crystalline Collective offered memory, clarity, and song. In the cargo bay, the crystal maps shimmered. New harmonies were forming, melodies of strategy, of unity, of survival. The Devourers were still coming. But now someone would be waiting. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were a choir of the lost. They had learned how to sing together. The chamber stretched out before Dr. Marcus Webb like a cathedral of nightmares. Along the darkened walls stood containment units, each one adorned with warning sigils from over a dozen alien civilizations. Red lights blinked ominously above, every sealed pod casting the room in a sinister glow. "We're seeing it," came Admiral Kane's voice through the link from the exploration ship Prometheus. "What exactly are we looking at?" Webb stepped up to the nearest unit. Even with translation software running, the words chilled him. Temporal disruption device. Use forbidden. This may result in causality, paradox, and total universal collapse. Move to the next. Reality anchor. Activation may cause dimensional instability. Another Nova bomb, Mark 7, capable of annihilating entire star systems. "Oh my God," Webb whispered. "Admiral, they left it all. Everything the Confederation ever built, but was too afraid to use." "How much is there?" Webb moved deeper into the vast hall. Hundreds of units, possibly thousands, each containing technology powerful enough to alter reality itself. Weapons that could bend time, fracture dimensions, tear civilizations from existence, enough to fight a war against gods, he said quietly. The exploration of Research Station Omega lasted 3 weeks. Webb worked alongside teams of human and alien scientists. Resonance of deep waters proved indispensable. It's harmonic. Cognition able to interpret alien. Interfaces faster than any human system. The station's archive data painted a haunting picture. For thousands of years, the Confederation had quietly collected dangerous artifacts from fallen civilizations, weapons too powerful to risk deploying. They had locked them away here on a dead outpost, hoping they'd never be needed. Dr. Sarah Kim, standing beside a device shaped like a metallic bloom, read from her data tablet. "This is the architect's reality engine. Supposedly alters physical laws in a localized space. The architects used it to build cities that defied gravity, entropy, logic. What happened to them?" SLT. Commander Torres, the team's military lead. "Extinct. 10,000 years ago. They tried to make their entire planet ignore thermodynamics. It lasted 6 months. Then reality snapped back. Their world just ... vanished." Webb shivered. Every device in this station shared the same story. Devastating power, followed by extinction. The Confederation had hidden them all here for fear they'd be misused. But with the Devourers coming, humanity was running out of time. Of options. "Dr. Webb," came a voice over comes Dr. Elena Vasquez, the expedition's lead archaeologist. "Get to Archive 7. Now." Webb found Vasquez in a chamber filled with towering crystalline data cores. Resonance was already interfacing, its body flashing rapidly as it translated stored information. "What did you find?" "Personal logs," Vasquez said. "Of hierarchists, Sexthelda, Confederations, top expert on the Devourers, Marcus." "This isn't the first time they've come." Webb's blood ran cold. "What do the records say?" Resonance began to sing. The harmonics translated not as words, but understanding. Concepts flooded Webb's mind like cascading symphonies of meaning. The Devourers are older than galaxies. They have consumed 17 universes across cosmic time. Their pattern never changes. They awaken, they devour, they move on. Braced himself. "Were they ever stopped?" "Twice," said Resonance. "The first time, by a machine race known as the Eternal Builders, they created weapons that could wound the Devourers. The war lasted 10,000 years. Both sides were destroyed. And the second, a race known as the Weavers. They transcended physical form, becoming beings that existed in multiple dimensions at once. They fought in planes of reality unreachable by normal matter. They held the Devourers back for 3 millennia. Then, they vanished, to change to return. Webb studied the glowing data crystals. Each contained petabytes of history, tactics, theories, collapses. Lost civilizations reduced to footnotes in cosmic warfare. Do we have what the builders had? Some of it, Vasquez answered. Their dimensional cannon is in storage bay 12. The quantum disruptor too. But these weapons are volatile. They require enormous energy. And what? They kill their users, Resonance said solemnly. 90% of builder operators died from dimensional backlash. The weapons consume the life of those who fire them. Webb stood still. Weapons that could harm the Devourers, but only through mortal sacrifice. A brutal choice. But maybe the only one. What about the Weaver's technology? More complex, said Resonance. They rewrote their own biology, becoming energy, idea, and matter fused.
Ow.
The process was irreversible, but they could fight where no others could, till they faded into higher dimensions. Webb paced the archive floor. 2 paths. One paved with death, the other with transformation. We bring all of it back to Kepler Station, he said. Weapons, data, everything. Let the Council decide what we're willing to risk. The return voyage aboard Prometheus took 2 months. Every containment pod was locked down and monitored. Webb spent the trip immersed in the archives, learning. From the graves of ancient empires, one lesson repeated: conventional weapons failed. Only tools that manipulated reality or touched higher dimensions had any effect. Everything else simply evaporated on impact. Kepler's station had grown massively since the Great Abandonment. Once a lonely outpost, it now held over 2 million refugees, humans, aliens, the forgotten. Built with the combined tech of dozens of species, its central hub was a monument to survival. Admiral Kane met Webb at the docking bay. Older, worn, but his eyes remained sharp. What did you find, Marcus? Hope, Webb answered, and horror can fight the Devourers, but the cost could be everything we are. The Council met in the core chamber. Representatives from every surviving race gathered: humans, Crystallons, Zephyrions, Tiaran, and others. Webb presented the findings. He described the weapons, the sacrifice they demanded, the irreversible changes. The builder arsenal can harm the enemy, said, but likely at the cost of the operator's life. The Weaver's path allows us to fight in dimensions they can't defend, but we may lose our humanity doing it. Elder Wind Whisper of the Tian spoke first, its voice a rustling wind. Our people believe sacrifice is the highest honor. These weapons save others. The price is justified. Commander Z Alpha of the Zephyrions stood in opposition. We fled extinction to preserve our kind. What victory is worth achieving if it means becoming monsters? The debate burned for hours. Some embraced the danger. Others pleaded for alternatives. Humanity itself stood divided. Then Admiral Kane rose. We didn't stay here to play it safe, he said. We stayed because no one else would protect the forgotten. If these weapons are what we need, we use them. But carefully. Test them. Learn. Minimize risk. And if we can't minimize it, asked Dr. Patel, then we accept it, Kane said, because the alternative is extinction. A long silence followed, and Webb nodded. I'll assemble the research teams. We'll need volunteers. People who understand they may not survive. You'll have them, Kane said. Humans have never lacked courage when the cause is right. Kepler transformed overnight. Scientists, engineers, and alien specialists formed teams. Volunteers stepped forward knowing full well the risks. Tests began. Some modified their biology to enter higher planes. Others built weapons that fed on their life energy. 6 months in, the first real trial came. Lt. Sarah Morrison, a Terran Defense Corps volunteer, fired a prototype dimensional cannon at a captured asteroid. The weapon worked, tripping the rock apart at the subatomic level. Morrison collapsed, live but barely. She survived, Dr. Kim reported. but a full-strength blast would kill the user in minutes. "It's not sustainable," she added. Then, "We don't fight a long war," said Kane. "We strike once, hit them with everything, and hope it's enough." Webb agreed. Prolonged war would doom them. One chance was all they had. Years of preparation followed. Operators trained, weapons built, biology rewritten. It was the most dangerous project in galactic history, and it was their last hope. Webb stood at the Kepler Observatory, staring into the dark beyond. By the time they launched, they might know. Longer be human. But maybe that was the cost of protecting those who still were. Maybe becoming something new was the price of preserving something old. Admiral Sarah Chen floated in her command chair aboard the warship Defiance. Her body was no longer entirely human. Weaver biotechnology had transformed her, allowing her to exist on 17 planes of reality. She saw both normal space and the chaotic dimensions where the Devourers truly lived. Terrifying, beautiful. "All ships report ready," came Captain Torres' voice through the Neuralink. The entire fleet was connected minds woven together by crystalline harmonics and human neural systems. 200 ships, all crewed by those who had chosen to become more than they were. Devourer contact in 30 minutes. Reported Lieutenant Kim, her mind also spread across dimensions.
Nice.
"They're entering the Veil Nebula, right on schedule." Sarah felt the fleet around her. Modified humans. Crystallons singing with destructive resonance. Zephyrians piloting through storms of dimensional chaos. Terran engineers aboard self-healing, living vessels. They were the last fleet, and they were about to fight where no species had ever dared. "Remember," Sarah broadcast through the link, "we don't need total victory. Just enough damage to make them reconsider. We get one shot." Her perception shifted. She felt the Devourers before. They appeared. Vast ancient minds. "Alien hunger. Contact," Kim said. 3 entities. Mass equals small mu. As cracks appeared in their dark forms, reality itself bled through the fractures. "They can be hurt," she whispered, astonished. But the Devourers were not helpless. They retaliated, unleashing waves of destructive energy across multiple dimensions. The first impact struck the modified frigate Courage. Sarah and Torres watched in horror as the ship simply vanished, erased from every layer of existence. "Courage is gone," Torres reported, his voice heavy with grief. "No survivors." "Continue." "The assault," Sarah ordered, her heart breaking. They had accepted the cost would be high. "Initiate route pattern 7 in bioships." The living vessels of the T-refugees responded, their organic hulls unfolding to reveal weapons pulsing with bioluminescence. These weren't crude energy weapons, but instruments firing focused life force. The bioenergy struck one Devourer, and for the first time in ages, the ancient being screamed. The cry rippled through dimensions, making every modified human convulse. "In pain, target is wounded," Kim reported through clenched teeth. Massive dimensional instability detected. Sarah felt hope flare within her. They were succeeding against all odds, against an ancient force that had devoured 17 galaxies. They were winning, but the Devourers adapted. "Admiral Torres," shouted, "they're changing. The wounded one is. .. learning." Sarah watched, horrified, as the damaged Devourer transformed. Where it had been cracked, new armor emerged, crystallized space-time. Layered through the same planes, their weapons struck. Switched to secondary weapons. Full power to Builder's cannons. She commanded the crews knew what it meant. The Builder's cannons could pierce the Devourer's defenses, but would drain the life force of their operators. It was a death sentence, accepted without hesitation. "For the abandoned," whispered Petty Officer Jackson, initiating the sequence aboard the destroyer Relentless. Builder's cannons fired. Reality screaming as pure dimensional force struck the lead Devourer, shredding its evolving defenses. Black ichor sprayed into the void. Where it touched normal space, impossibilities occurred. Dead stars flickered alive. Vanished planets briefly returned. The stricken Devourer faltered, destabilizing. But The price was immense. Sarah felt her crews burning out. The Relentless went dark as its crew perished at their posts. The cruiser Determination followed seconds later. Weapons effective, Torres gasped. His ship had fired thrice. Sarah sensed his life force dimming, like a dying flame. But we're losing too many. Sarah made a call that would haunt her. All ships, focus fire on the wounded devourer. Ignore the others. They must learn we can kill them. The fleet unleashed everything. Crystalline harmonics shattered its defenses. Bioenergy eroded its structure. Builders' cannons bored into its core. The devourer writhed, screamed, and for the first time in cosmic history died. Its explosion defied comprehension. Dark energy spilled across the battlefield, carrying fragments of 1,000 consumed worlds. Where it touched human ships, miracles occurred. Dead crew revived, hulls repaired. Physics bent to hope, but only 37 of 200 ships survived. Thousands of modified humans, alien allies, crystalline beings had died, proving devourers could bleed. The remaining 2 devourers halted. They hovered, stunned, studying their fallen kin. For eons they had been unstoppable. Now they understood fear. Sarah opened a channel broadcasting across dimensions. Her enhanced mind touched theirs. "We are the last fleet," she said with unshakable resolve. "We stayed when others fled. We protect the abandoned. You can be killed, and we will die to prove it." The devourers replied with a wave of thought, ancient and unexpected, tinged with respect. "Small beings," they said. "You fight with the fury of dying stars. You sacrifice all for the helpless." This was not anticipated. "Will you continue consuming our galaxy?" Sarah asked. Long silence. Then, "We are ancient. We have fed for ages. But never have we met guardians such as you. Beings who transform and sacrifice for others. Then leave us in peace. We will consider. You have reminded us that prey may become predator, that the hunted may hunt. Consider quickly," Sarah warned. Her body burned from within, altered by dimensional warfare. "We have more fleets. More weapons. More who will become what you faced. We will show no mercy next time." It was a bluff. But the devourers couldn't know. They retreated into the quantum foam. Before vanishing, they left one final message. "We go to reflect, small guardians. But beware. Arthur, ancient hungers remain." And they were gone. In the aftermath, Sarah slumped in her chair. Around her, the bridge crew worked through damage reports and rescue ops. "Kepler Station requests an update," Torres said, barely clinging to life. "They want to know if we won." Sarah gazed into the starfield, free from devourer hunger for now. "Tell them," she whispered, "that the last of us still breathe. And as long as we breathe, we stand guard." The Battle of the Shattered Veil was over, but Sarah knew it was just the beginning. The devourers had been halted, not destroyed. And in the dark between galaxies, older hungers stirred. The last fleet would rebuild. They had done what 17 galaxies failed to do: make gods bleed, and for that, the abandoned could live.